Buy Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, virus victory. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 recovery rate surges past the global average to 92.29%. Campaign trails. President Gotabaya visits Putlam district as the SLPP election campaign shifts into high gear. Systemic degradation. Former State Intelligence Deputy tells Easter Commission that wartime intel agencies would have prevented attacks as police discover LTTE explosives in Palai. Quarantine perks. Sri Lankan repatriates to get access to reopened duty-free shops as gradual normalcy resumes at BIA. All this and much more coming up on this Monday, the 6th of July 2020.
නව sunlight sakura. Then දිකුකල් පවතින sakura මල් සුවඳින්.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Shanella Fernando in your top stories for tonight. Following an explosion reported at a residence in Iakachi in Palai, Kilinochchi on 3rd July that caused serious injuries to a former LTTE combatant, police in the area have taken into custody the suspect's wife along with 3 locally manufactured bombs, a Black Tigers Day commemoration banner, explosives and a photograph of an ex-LTTE cadre. The injured victim's wife, who was arrested, is reported to be a teacher at a school in the Iakachi area. The injured former combatant was admitted to the Jaffna Hospital and transferred to the Anuradhapura Hospital for further treatment. Kilinochchi security forces have launched investigations to determine the reason for the explosives being stashed by the couple. The arrested teacher is to be produced before the Kilinochchi Magistrates Court. Investigations are being carried out by the Palai Police, the STF Bomb Disposal Unit, the Terrorist Investigation Division and the Sri Lanka Army. Former Deputy Director of State Intelligence Services, retired DIG Mohammad Hafiz Maso told the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday attacks today that the agency had made note of rising Islamic extremism in Sri Lanka following the end of the civil war, of which reports were made at the National Intelligence Review meeting. He added that due to the degradation of intelligence capabilities during that time, no action could have been taken to counter the Easter attacks, even though prior intelligence was received.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday attacks today heard evidence from former Deputy Director of State Intelligence Services, retired DIG Mohammad Hafiz Maso. The witness told the Commission that he had become aware of a rising trend of Muslim extremism after the end of the war in 2010. The witness stated that the extremist activities of the National Tawhid Jamaat organization was brought to the attention of the Intelligence Review meeting at the time. He further stated that the then Director of State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, had the opportunity to inform the Secretary of Defence and the President on April 4th when India's Raw Intelligence Agency first notified the government of the threat. The witness pointed out that by delaying the informing of the IGP up to 9th April 2019, Director of State Intelligence Services Nilantha Jayawardena had neglected his responsibilities. The Commission then questioned the witness as to why the intelligence agencies in Sri Lanka were unable to prevent the attack, even though intelligence had been received after intelligence agencies were able to arrest a female Muslim extremist who had been planning to launch suicide attacks in Sri Lanka and the UK. The witness replied that the efficiency of the intelligence agencies in the country seen during the war had been severely hampered during the past few years. The Presidential Commission then asked the witness whether extremist groups had enjoyed political clout. The witness claimed that although he had received reports of such political interference, the information was of sensitive nature and it could not be made public.
The Attorney General's Department has filed objections to the fundamental rights petition filed by the wife of Riaz Badiuddin, seeking her husband's immediate release from CID custody following his arrest for his links to the Easter Sunday bombings. The petitioner claims that the arrest is a political move targeting the tarnishing of former Minister Riaz Badiuddin, sought his release on the basis that the CID had not given reason for Badiuddin's arrest and have not produced him in court as yet. The next hearing has been set for the 31st of July. The Supreme Court has been informed by Deputy Solicitor General Nerin Pulle, representing the Attorney General's Department, that limited objections have been filed requesting the rejection of the fundamental rights petition filed seeking the release of Riaz Badiuddin from Criminal Investigation Department custody. The case was taken up before Supreme Court Justices Priyantha Jayawardena and Yasantha Kodagoda today. Riaz Badiuddin, the brother of former Minister Riaz Badiuddin, has been in detention since April 14 this year for his alleged links to the Easter Sunday attacks. The fundamental rights petition was filed by the wife of Riaz Badiuddin, seeking his release and denying any connection to the attacks. Counsel for the petitioner, President's Counsel Anura Madagoda, requested the court to grant time to file objections to the AG's objections. The petition has been filed citing the fact that the CID had not submitted a reason for arresting Riaz Badiuddin and not produced him before court as of yet. The petitioner also claims that the arrest was a political move to bring disrepute to former Minister Riaz Badiuddin and requested the court to order his release after producing him before a court. Further, in consideration of the plaintiff's request for an earlier court date on an emergency basis, due to his client having been under arrest since April 14th, the court set the next date of hearing for July 31st. Sri Lanka's airport and aviation services reopened duty-free shops at the Bandaranaike International Airport today, providing an opportunity for passengers deprived of the facility when arriving in Sri Lanka due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Chairman of Airport and Aviation Services Limited, retired Major General G.A. Chandrasiri, said the repatriated Sri Lankans who underwent mandatory quarantine processes will be given access to purchase duty-free items when their quarantine is completed.
Repatriates who underwent mandatory quarantine processes can now gain entry to duty-free shops at the Bandaranaike International Airport, but are requested to register and make a booking for a date via special hotline 0112 263 017 prior to arriving at the airport. The passengers will be allowed to obtain goods and services at the duty-free shops only if they produce their passport and a certificate received upon the completion of quarantine.
We are providing the duty-free facilities to all the passengers who came to Sri Lanka after 19th of March till to date. Almost 15,200 passengers arrived to Sri Lanka since then. We have discussed with the customs and all the other authorities. We have got the approval to provide the duty-free facilities to all the passengers. There are certain procedures that they have to adapt. First of all, we are giving it only to the passengers who have gone to the quarantine procedure and who have got the quarantine certificate. Before they come here, they have to give a call, and there's a separate number. They should call them and get a specific date and the time, and according to the registration and the time given, they can come here and they can get the duty-free facility. We have already worked out plans to give the facility for up to about 100 personnel per day. And when they come here, they are given all the facilities by the customs as well as our management. When they are going out with all the equipment, all the other things what they have got from the duty-free shop, they can get a taxi facility as well as any other transport if they require. That also will be provided. The timing basically from 8:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Meanwhile, the Bandaranaike International Airport now permits up to 5 guests to accompany passengers into the departure terminal at the airport. Previously, only 3 guests were allowed entry to the departure terminal, along with the passenger carrying a valid air ticket. The departure terminal was reopened for guests on the 15th of June, after being closed off for a prolonged period owing to the COVID-19 global pandemic. Guests who arrive at the BIA must purchase a ticket worth 300 rupees to enter the departure terminal at the airport.
Minister of Education, Sports and Youth Affairs Dallas Alahaperuma urged parents to not look at the school system with fear and apprehension, but to rather entrust the safety of their children to the principals and teachers who have shown exemplary behavior throughout the pandemic. He made these comments during an inspection visit he made to schools in Matara as schools reopened under phase 2 of school reopening process for grades 5, 11 and 13 today. In the meantime, Sri Lanka's COVID-19 recovery rate rose rose to a new high at 92.29%, while however dipping the country's overall number of active COVID-19 cases below 150.
Schools resume for grades 5, 11 and 13 today under phase 2 of the school reopening process following a hiatus of over 3 months due to the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Students were seen wearing masks and washing their hands before entering school in accordance with health and safety guidelines laid down by the health authorities. Principals and teachers were seen advising students on the health and safety protocols that must be adhered to. Meanwhile, Minister of Education, Sports and Youth Affairs, Dalasala Peruma, visited a few schools in Mathura today as part of an inspection tour.
දරුවන්ට ගැලපෙන තීන්දුවක් අපි ගන්නෙ. දරුවන්ගේ මතයට තමයි අපි ගරු කරන්නේ. සෙප්තැම්බර් 7 වෙනිදා දක්වා විභාග කල් දැම්මා. හැබැයි අපි නැවත පාසල් පටන් ගන්නයින් පස්සේ විදුහල්පතිවරුන්ගෙන් අහලා, ගුරුවරුන්ගෙන් අහලා, දරුවන්ගෙන් අහලා ඒ අවශ්‍ය තීන්දුව ගන්නවා කියලා. අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශයට මඟ පෙන්විය යුත්තේ දරුවෝ. දේශපාලකයවත් නිලධාරීන්වත් නෙමෙයි. දරුවන්ගේ ඉගෙනුම් කාලය යම් පමණකින් අහිමි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා සවස් වරුවේ හවස 3:00 වෙනකන් සමහර පන්ති අපිට පවත්වන්න සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේක යම් මට්ටමකින් අපිට මාස කිහිපයක් යනකම් මේ තත්ත්වය පවත්වාගෙන යන්න වෙයි. ඉතින් එතෙන්දී යම් අපහසුතාවයන් මතුවෙන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා. මේක අපිට කළමනාකරණය කර ගැනීමට නොහැකි අසීරු කාරණාවක්. මුළු රටම මේ කොවිඩ් වසංගත තත්ත්වය හමුවේ අසරණ වෙච්ච වෙලාවක මේක සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා දරුවෝ අපි බේරගත්තා. ඒ නිසා අපිට තාම වගකීම් සහගතව කියන්න පුළුවන් සෑම දරුවෙක්ම අපේ පාසල් පද්ධතියේ හිටියේ සුරක්ෂිතයි. හැම ගුරුවරයෙක්ම සුරක්ෂිතයි. හැම විදුහල්පතිවරයෙක්ම සුරක්ෂිතයි. සැකයෙන් පාසල දිහා බලන්න එපා. ඇත්තටම පහුගිය මාස 3 අපේ විදුහල්පතිවරු කටයුතු කරපු ආකාරය, ගුරුවරු කටයුතු කරපු ආකාරය දිහා බැලුවම අධ්‍යාපන ඇමතිවරයා විදියට මට තියෙන විශාල ආඩම්බරයක්. විශාල ගෞරවනීය හැඟීමක් තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා මම දෙමාපියන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලන්නේ ගෞරවය මිශ්‍රිත හැඟීමකින් පාසල දිහා, විදුහල්පති දිහා, ගුරුවරු දිහා බලන්න.
Meanwhile, according to the Ministry of Education, phase 3 of the school reopening process will commence on the 20th of July for students of grades 10 and 12. In addition, universities island-wide reopened for second and third year students today. However, a date has not been announced as to when first-year students can resume their studies. Accordingly, the University Grants Commission listed out guidelines with 11 points that must be adhered to by every university. According to the guidelines, a university can only summon students of 2 academic years and stated that it would also be appropriate if universities welcome back students of the 4th and 3rd years to attend lectures. Further, final year medical students, inclusive of dental and Ayurvedic students, can restart clinical training. According to the guidelines, only a single student is allowed to occupy each room in a hostel. All students have been requested to return home immediately after completing their specified study periods or examinations and are not allowed to remain within university premises. Mr. also stated that all sports activities, social work and any form of gatherings have also been prohibited. In other developments, the recovery of 14 more persons who had been diagnosed with the COVID-19 virus took the country's recovery rate to a new high of 92.29%, while overall recoveries rose to 1,917. This increase in COVID-19 recoveries dipped the island nation's overall COVID-19 active cases below 150, placing the current figure at just 149. Meanwhile, the 2 COVID-19 patients that tested positive for the virus yesterday were identified as returnees from Bahrain who were undergoing quarantine. In the meantime, the overall number of naval personnel that have recovered from the virus currently stands at 885, placing just 19 naval personnel currently in hospital care. Meanwhile, under the government repatriation program, 7 Sri Lankans were repatriated from Qatar, while another 230 Sri Lankans were repatriated from Ethiopia this morning. All returnees were subjected to PCR tests and directed to quarantine centres.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In more news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today presided over another phase of public rallies organised by Puttalam district candidates of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Attending election campaign rallies, the President also made note of issues put forward by the members of the public while assuring them of sustainable and permanent solutions. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa participated in a series of public rallies of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna worked off in the Puttalam district in order to strengthen the party's election campaign. Accordingly, the President was received by SLPP candidates contesting from the Puttalam district at DM Dasanayaka Stadium in Anamaduwa. The President also interacted with the members of the public present at the event. The President later joined a public rally organised by SLPP candidate Piyankara Jayaratna in Anamaduwa. During the rally, the President's attention was drawn towards providing a permanent solution to the threat posed to area residents by wild elephants. The President then attended a public rally in the Puttalam town. President Gotabaya also paid attention to the grave concerns raised by the public over the Senakurirupu village being under threat of sinking. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also took part in another rally organised in Madurankuliya this afternoon. The next stop for the President was in Manaveria, where he joined a public rally organised by SLPP candidate Sanat Nishanta. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa stated that the SLPP is eager to take President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's development program forward, but a two-thirds majority is essential to undo the damage caused by the 13th and 19th Amendments. He made these comments during a felicitation ceremony organised to celebrate his 50 years in politics.
A felicitation ceremony organised by the Yuthakam Forum to celebrate the 50-year political career of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa worked off today at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute under the Prime Minister's patronage. A consensus, including proposals for a new constitution and proposals to be implemented prepared by the forum, were also presented to the Prime Minister at the ceremony.
එමනම් ඒක කරන්න අපිට තුනෙන් දෙකක බලයක් තියෙනවා. මම හිතන්නේ ඒක කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක අද වෙනකොට මම හිතන්නේ ජනතාව නම් තීන්දුව කරලා තියෙනවා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය අද දෙකට කැඩිලා දෙදුගුණගේ ගැටුම උග්‍ර වෙලා තියෙනවා පළාත්වල. මම හිතන්නේ ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයත් එක්ක තියෙන වෛරයකද කොහෙද කෑලි වලට කඩලා දාන තත්යකට පක්ෂය ගෙනල්ලා තියෙනවා කියන එකයි මට පේන්නේ. කිව්වා වගේ ගෝඨාභය උදේ ඉඳලා හැන්ද වෙනකම් වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් එතුමාට දේශපාලනය කරන්න වඩා වැඩ කරන්න ඉඩ දීලා අපි දේශපාලනය කරන්නයි දැන් ලෑස්ති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ජනාධිපතිවරයා වැඩපිළිවෙලක් රටට ඉදිරිපත් කරා. ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙල ශක්තිමත්ව ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාම අපි සූදානම් කියන එක මතක් කරමින් කොට ස්තුතියි.
Leader of the Samagi Jana Balavega and Colombo district candidate Sajid Premadasa says that the country's national security does not encompass military security but must include economic, political and societal aspects as well. He made these comments addressing a ceremony marking the commencement of the Samagi Jana Balavega election campaign today. A ceremony marking the commencement of the election campaign of the Samagi Jana Balavega worked off today in Colombo. A mobile phone application of the Samagi Jana Balavega was also launched under the patronage of party leader and the Colombo district candidate Sajid Premadasa.
Jana Balavega Nila mobile app එක
ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව අප විග්‍රහ කරන ආකාරයට ඒ මිලිටරි ආරක්ෂාවට පමණක් සීමා වන්නේ නැහැ. අපි රටක් හැටියට ආර්ථික ආරක්ෂාව දිහා බලන්නට ඕන. දේශපාලන ආරක්ෂාව දිහා බලන්නට ඕන. සමාජීය ආරක්ෂාව දිහා බලන්නට ඕන. අප නිර්මාණය කරන සත් ජාතිකත්වයේ තුල සැබවින්ම ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව අහුරු වෙන දවස වෙනකොට අපේ රටේ ආර්ථික ආරක්ෂාව paludu වෙලා ආර්ථිකේ කඩා වැටිලා සමාජ ආරක්ෂාවත් හීන වෙලා ක්‍රමයෙන් ආර්ථික සමාජීය ආරක්ෂාව paludu වීම හීන වීම තුල දේශපාලන ආරක්ෂාවත් අද රට තුල ෂෙයා වෙමින් පවතින. ආර්ථික ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු කරන්නට නම් කඩා වැටුණු ආර්ථික අපි ගොඩනගන්නට ඕන.
In the meantime, Samagi Jana Balavege leader Sajith Premadasa also addressed public gatherings yesterday that were worked off in Kadubela as well.
අනිවාර්යෙන්ම අපේ ආණ්ඩුවේ සමාජිකින්ගේ පිටරට ගමන් ඔක්කොම සීමා කරනවා. පිටරට නෙමෙයි වැඩ තියෙන්නේ අපේ රටේ. අපේ වීරවංශ ඇමතිතුමා එතුමාට දොළ දුකක් තියනවලු වැඩිම මනාප ගන්න. මම කියන්න කැමති සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාසටත් තියෙන දොළ දුක. ඒක තමයි වැඩියෙන්ම කඩු වෙලා කොළඹ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මුළු ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ගෙවල් හදලා 20යි 25 සැමට සෙවන ලබා දීමේ දොළ දුක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස සම්පූර්ණ කරනවා 20යි 25 වෙනකොට.
Following the fatal collision that took place yesterday involving Sri Lankan cricketer Kusal Mendis and a 64-year-old cyclist, police produced the cricketer before the Panadura Magistrate Court today. After hearing evidence from both the prosecution and the defendant's counsel, the magistrate ordered Mendis be released on bail of two personal sureties of 1 million each and the payment of 1 million rupees as compensation.
The SUV driven by Sri Lankan cricketer Kusal Mendis collided with a cyclist in the area of RETURNEES yesterday at around 5 a.m. It was revealed that Kusal Mendis had been driving in the wrong lane along with cricketer Avishka Fernando towards Panadura. The cyclist had already succumbed to his injuries and was dead when he was admitted to the hospital. After the collision, Kusal Mendis had gone home and surrendered himself to the Panadura North Police Station 1 hour later. Accordingly, Mendis was produced before the Panadura Magistrate Court today. Presenting evidence to the court, the police stated that the 64-year-old was a private bus conductor who travelled on the Colombo-Panadura route. They said that he was travelling to work last morning when he met with the accident. Appearing on behalf of Kusal Mendis was President's Counsel Kapila Vaidyaratna, who first expressed his client's deep regret for the incident and went on to say that the collision took place because his client fell asleep while driving as he was fatigued. He also pointed out that there is no record of him being under the influence of alcohol. However, the prosecution pointed out that after the collision took place, Kusal Mendis had not taken the cyclist to the hospital, and because of that, the collision should be categorized as a hit and run. The defendant's counsel denied the allegation and said that Kusal Mendis had checked on the situation of the cyclist and had been shocked, and because of that he went home and explained the situation to his father. President's counsel Kapila Vaidyaratna further stated that this situation cannot be termed as a hit and run because Kusal Mendis had come with his father and surrendered himself to the police 1 hour later. Counsel for Kusal Mendis then said that his client is willing to pay compensation to the victim's wife in a manner that won't be unfair by her. He stated that his client had already paid 80,000 rupees to the victim's wife yesterday and another 120,000 rupees today as funeral charges. Through the lawyer of the victim's wife, the magistrate inquired as to how much compensation she was expecting. The prosecution then said that the victim was expecting 1 million rupees as compensation. In response, the defendant's counsel stated that his client has agreed to pay the amount. The magistrate then said that because there is no evidence that has been presented against the defendant that stops him from being granted bail, he was ordered to be released on two personal sureties of 1 million rupees each. The magistrate, however, temporarily cancelled his driving license. In the meantime, despite the body of the victim being taken to his house in Gorakapula today, due to a lack of space, it was instead placed at a neighbour's house, with the funeral proceedings taking place tomorrow. The case will once again be reviewed on the 9th of September.
Sri Lanka has not been exempted from the global travel advisory or border restrictions at this initial stage, the British High Commission said in a statement yesterday. The UK has announced a change to its global travel advisory which advises British nationals against all but essential international travel. From 4th July, the UK will exempt 67 countries from the global travel advisory. The UK is also making some changes to border control health measures for travellers arriving from some some designated countries. The process for considering changes to travel advice takes into account a wide range of factors, including the entry recruitments of that country, the availability of transport options and quarantine requirements. The first review is part of a gradual and ongoing process of opening up global travel routes and relaxing border restrictions, and will be kept under constant close review to ensure it reflects the latest situation. The UK government says that it hopes to add other countries to the exemption list as conditions allow. More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In your business news, the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has announced that, acting in terms of the regulations made under the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance and the Local Treasury Bills Ordinance, has decided to extend the suspension of Perpetual Treasuries Limited from carrying on the business and activities of a primary dealer for a period of 6 months. This new extension came into effect from 4:30 p.m. yesterday, the 5th of July, which was imposed in order to continue the investigations being conducted by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka on the company's activities in connection with the massive central bank bond scam. Sri Lankan shares ended higher today, lifted by shares of financial and consumer discretionary companies. The benchmark all-share price index closed up 0.49% to 5,075.90. According to exchange data, foreign investors were net sellers, offloading 742.1 million Sri Lankan rupees worth of shares. The equity market turnover was about 1.47 billion rupees. Here's a brief report on how the market fared today.
Stock market ended on a positive territory, reversing impact seen on the last 5 trading session, while the capital good contribute 41% of the turnover, breaking the 3 weeks dominance of the banking counters. And market recorded downtrend within the first 30 minutes of the trading session due to the selling pressure on the banking counters, and hit intraday low of 5,032 and thereafter spiking due to the price advance in CTC and reached intraday high of 5,086. And market experienced a sideways movement thereafter and closing at 5,076, gaining 25 points. And parcel trade boosted the turnover, contributing 36% of the total, and market experienced a moderate foreign participation dominated by the selling side, resulting in a net foreign outflow of 659 million.
In our international news, with second waves being experienced in numerous countries previously having controlled COVID-19 virus outbreaks, scientists have warned the World Health Organization that evidence shows that the virus is airborne, and urged the organization to revise their previous recommendations to reflect this fact.
Scientists say that there is evidence that the novel coronavirus that remains airborne in smaller particles can cause community transmission. Furthermore, they are calling for the World Health Organization to revise their previous recommendations. The WHO has said that the coronavirus spreads primarily from person to person through small droplets from the nose or mouth when a person with the virus coughs, sneezes or speaks. Meanwhile, India's southern state of Kerala reimposed stringent lockdowns in its capital city of Thiruvananthapuram for 1 week from today. The shutdown comes after the city recorded a sudden jump of COVID-19 cases yesterday that the state said were infected through local transmission. The state is witnessing a jump from unknown sources of infection, posing a threat of mass community transmission. Meanwhile, the border between Australia's 2 most populous states and New South Wales is to close from tomorrow for an indefinite period as the authorities scramble to contain an outbreak of the coronavirus in the city of Melbourne. The decision announced today marks the first time the border between Victoria and New South Wales has been shut in 100 years. The number of COVID-19 cases in the Victorian capital of Melbourne has surged in recent days, prompting authorities to enforce strict social distancing orders in 30 suburbs and put 9 public housing blocks into complete lockdown.
In sports news, England have confirmed they will host Pakistan in a 3-match test series starting on the 5th of August. The first test will take place at Old Trafford, all in biosecure environments and behind closed doors. The test series between England and Pakistan was due to start on 30th July but was postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Prior to that series, England will host Ireland in 3 one-day internationals at Old Trafford starting on 30th July. Old Trafford will also host 3 T20s between England and Pakistan in August and in September. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining. I'm Shanella Fernando. Good night.